itself so that we could discuss whatever concerns anybody has or any questions or experience sharing. Just feel free to unmute. Okay, so as we know that US FDA is the regulatory body in US, they regulate the medicines and any health or human services in US. The Food and Drug Administration Act of 1988, that's under that they regulate their framework. And to be honest, more or less in terms of mission of US FDA and the one that we discussed for India is more or less same, because they both are ultimately health agencies for their own countries, so they have similar kind of responsibilities to handle. We would just go through, I mean, this would be kind of revision for our India health department as well. The responsibilities are more or less same, so we will just go through it once again so that it could be a refresher for us, that what had been responsibilities in terms of health agency. To be honest, majority or almost all health agency would have a similar kind of responsibilities coming to their own patient population in their country. So let's consider FDA. They are responsible for protecting the public health by assuring the safety, efficacy, and security of human and veterinary drugs, biological products, medical devices, our nation's food supply, cosmetics, and products that emit radiation. So they all FDA is responsible for monitoring or regulating all these types of health related measures. FDA is also responsible for advancing the public health by helping to speed innovations that make medicines and foods more effective, safer, and more affordable, and helping the public get the accurate science based information they need to use medicines and foods to improve their health. So, they also encourage innovations. They probably would be having different funds. How our Indian Health Agency, or for that matter, our Indian government introduces to trigger the R&D. FDA does the similar kind of initiatives so that they could encourage different innovations that could bring the betterment or different niche formulations into their market. Their responsibility is also to participate with representatives of other countries to reduce the burden of regulation, coordinate regulatory requirements, and achieve appropriate equivalent arrangements. This is where that ICH harmonization principles come, because then they share their experience and kind of come with a harmonization principles along with Europe, Japan. They sit together in that forum and they come up with the harmonized approaches in terms of their pharmacopoeial upgrades as well, as determined to be appropriate by the Secretary of Health and Human Services to carry out the tasks above by consulting with the experts in science, medicines, and public health, and by cooperating with consumer users, manufacturer, importers, packers, distributors, and retailers of regulated products. So they kind of bring the harmony between the uh, regulatory requirements, and their role is not to act as a hindrance for medicines to be available for the patients. Rather, they act as a facilitator for different uh, individuals that are kind of providing the medicines for the patient. So they act as kind of cooperating body for all these responsible functions that are interested to bring the product for the patients in the market. So their role is more to facilitate, enhance, cooperate, and not to really hinder. So though we consider, I mean, as a regulatory individual, we consider, oh, US FDA, they might be kind of stricter. So their interest is not to stop, but to ensure what they get in the market is of patient benefit. That's the only reason that they appear to be strict, but their role is not to hinder or stop the medicines to be available for patient. Rather, they want safe, effective medicines. For that, they could be stricter in their expectations, but they also have a intent to get the medicines in the market. So their role is not to stop, but to enhance. FDA accomplishes its task by establishing and enforcing high product standards and other regulatory requirements authorized or mandated by the Federal Food, Drug and Cosmetic Act, FD and C Act. So this is under which they regulate their medicine monitoring requirements uh, for their patients. What FDA regulates? So what different uh, segments FDA would regulate? So they regulate the food, wholesome and sanitary, human and veterinary drugs, biological products, medical devices, cosmetics, and electronic products that emit radiation. They all come under the responsibility for the regulatory uh, responsibility or ensuring that they have relevant monitoring or regulatory expectations for these medicines. They also ensure these products are honestly, accurately, and informatively represented to the public. Now, some of the agency specific responsibilities for each of these different segments that FDA regulates. So, when it comes to biologics, the product and manufacturing establishment licensing. So, whenever we have a biologic application, the first step of the biologic application is getting your manufacturing establishment license. So FDA would come and audit your site and issue manufacturing establishment license. That's the first step, and then later you could actually do the filing of biologics. And safety of the nation's blood supply. In terms of biologics, they also need to ensure that the blood supply is substantial. Research to establish product standards and develop improved testing methods. So they continuously, at their level, they continuously do the research to establish the product standards. That is the pharmacopoeial requirement they establish, and they develop the improved testing methods. So they work on the pharmacopoeial expectations in terms of biologics. In terms of cosmetics, they ensure that it is safe, and cosmetics labeling also have to be so they have a stricter expectations when it comes to labeling of the cosmetics. So they regulate that as well.